Yeah, crazy couple of days. Really, I think. Firstly, we were during the game when we saw Al kind of going off, holding his arm and shoulder. You kind of feared for the worst, but unfortunately that came true, and losing tips as well. I suppose the mood in camp on Saturday evening was a bit somber. Obviously lads delighted to get up and running and get a, for especially the lads for playing for the Lions for the first time, getting a run out and getting a win was massively positive. But obviously a little bit of sadness lingering around the group because of the two boys. And yeah, it was a strange atmosphere. And then obviously Warren came up to me before we had our cap ceremony and asked did I want to take over as tour captain. And yeah, massive honour. Answered straight away, yes, it would be brilliant. And I think I've answered quite quickly because the lads, quite a few lads in this group, and the new setup of the group is really strong. We're really tight already. People are leading as players already themselves, so it's hopefully something that we can move into smoothly and carry on from where Al left us.
Was there any part of you, Connor, that thought, given all the difficulties of this tour, the restrictions, the curfews, all the rest of it, I don't need the extra weight of captaincy?
No, no, and like I said, I think the way the squad is set up, the way players are so comfortable around each other, and the way players are, we have a great coaching staff. That's absolutely sorted. But I think the players are driving this so well. You know what I mean? And there's players you can lean on. I mentioned it already. In terms of the leadership group, there's so many guys with such experience as captains and as leaders, whether it be leading by words or actions, they're littered across the squad. So in terms of extra pressure, I really don't see it as that at the moment. There might be a few extra commitments here or there. You'll have to think about things a little bit more and be across everything as you would be really. So I've been talking to a few people I quite respect at home and abroad, and the reason Warren chose me was from what he's seen. So it's very important I remain myself and I continue to do what I've done. And we'll work really well as a leadership group. And yeah, it's hugely exciting. You know what I mean? After a few days of letting it settle and thinking about it, it's a huge honour.
You don't have much of a back catalogue as a captain, but you played under some pretty good ones. Who will you take your inspiration from?
Straight off the top of my head, I suppose Rory Best and Paul O'Connell would be two of the biggest captains I've played under. A good friend in my club, Peter O'Mahony, who has experience in this area too. So there's guys that if things crop up, or you're thinking of what to say or what not to say, it's just guys like that you can, thankfully you can pick up the phone to them and run things by them. But saying that, going back to what I said, you're chosen because of what you do already, and I don't want to try and become someone different, try and force things that aren't that natural to you. So I think that's really important. I focus on that and hopefully lead by what I'm doing.
Did you have time for any conversation with Alun Wyn, and did he give you any advice?
Briefly, obviously a lot was going on with Al on Saturday evening, but on Sunday morning I caught up with him for a couple of minutes, and it's what I just said. Is he said, just be yourself, mate. You've been doing it all along over the past two tours. Just continue that. And he kind of gave me a pat on the shoulder and said he's full faith in me. And again, another guy who said he's at the end of the phone if anything crops up. And his words are really important to me. He's been brilliant for the first 2 weeks in setting the tone in training. Just by his actions in training, he was beating everyone to the next drill, and he was just being himself, and the way he's led for years and years. So yeah, another guy that I can call on, hopefully.
And just lastly from me, Connor, you'll be the first Lions captain really of the modern era not to be backed by an army of travelling Lions fans. How challenging is that?
Yeah, it went, especially being selected on tour. There was excitement, and then you thought about the the no fans being allowed, and now that there's definitely a lot more excitement within my family because of the captaincy thing too. So it made you think a little bit of how cool it would be to have the fans here, but there's far more important things going on outside this tour, and you got to respect that, and it would be lovely to have them there. I think most of, if not all, the players are very used to playing without fans, and we understand what it is, and it would be great, but it doesn't take away from how special the Lions is, how much of a challenge it is in the world champions' backyard. So there's plenty of cause for motivation for us.